Hi, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. And it is time for another edition of the weekly Track Roundup, where I go over what I felt were some of the best and the worst tracks of the week. We have quite a few, a lot to do, so let's get into it. I think first we have to do a few shout-outs to some links down below. Our Turntable Lab link, our Patreon page link over there for a very cheap tier. You can get some bonus monthly content, access to our Discord, and a whole lot else. And also this project over here that AUSTEN has come recommending from Keith Rowe, an assemblage/construct for 45 voices, a cool choral collage by experimental guitar legend Keith Rowe. Not usually the type of sound or style he's dealing in, but still a pretty cool project nonetheless. And I guess it's free as well. And we also have a little something from avant-gardist Mr. Jim O'Rourke. He makes a compelling classical piece while in his ambient Steamroom mode. It's always nice when AUSTEN comes through with a few left field recommendations. And yeah, that's it for the shoutouts. Let's get into the worst tracks of the week. If it's unknown to you, I will say that we always link all this stuff down below in the description box. So if any of these tracks grab your attention or interest you, whether I like them or don't so much like them, you can check them out down there. Listen to them for yourself. Get your own opinions going and all that. But worst tracks of the week, the least favorites of the week are, first, Usher, Lil Jon, and Ludacris, Sex Beat. Wow! This is terrible. This is bad. Wow. Considering that Usher and Lil Jon back in the day like drummed up one of the greatest club hits of all time, even though my thoughts on it a little bit have changed because of the triangle sort of sitting with me in a weird way these days, but still. One of the greatest club hits ever. It's very sad to see them link up once again for a track that is so utterly shit. Also very disappointing that the Ludacris feature on this is so annoying to the point where I don't even want to listen to the song. And the beat is trash too. There's just nothing likable about this track. I don't get why anyone would want to dance to it, fuck to it, and just really listen to it. It's annoying as fuck. But whatever. Moving on from there, we have this new single from mxmtoon, a California singer-songwriter that has been making a lot of waves. Didn't really care for her early ukulele stuff, and have somewhat been interested in hearing her transition out of that into just more of a straightforward pop flavor. But the production on this new track over here, Lessons, is so utterly basic and bland. I wonder if she really has like a direction, a style in mind, a something, because this just seems painfully average. There's so much more creativity going on in pop music generally. There's absolutely nothing magnetizing about this. Moving on from there, Danzig of Misfits fame, punk legend, sings Elvis, which in theory is not necessarily a bad thing, because if you listen to those early Misfits albums and singles, it's very apparent that the king very clearly has an influence on Danzig's vocal style. And maybe back in the day, if Danzig, was doing some Elvis covers on an album, it would have been relatively exciting. But this sucks. This sucks ass. This cover of One Night is terrible. The vocals are shit. The production leaves a lot to be desired, and it is just awkward as fuck. I do not want to hear any more of this at all, but I have a feeling I will. My morbid curiosity will get the best of me at some point. And we also have a new track from Alison Mosshart, one of her messiest and least gratifying songs in a while, whether that be, through another band or some other, through way. But still, having said that, the vocals are boring. The instrumental is absolutely gutless. And sure, it's trying to be a little fuzzy and everything, but there's nothing about it compositionally that's all that memorable. It's just very bland and messy, and just want to try to forget about it as soon as possible. Let's get into the tracks that I thought were meh. Not terrible, but still worth shouting out and pointing in your direction. You might enjoy them more than me. First off, we have a new track from Woods, which is a very breezy, somewhat eerie, folky tune. I thought the production was maybe a little bit too clean or standard, but still, the tune is not all that bad. If you enjoy some somewhat left field folk, get into this new track, Strange to Explain. We also have a new track from Washed Out, Chill Wave King, though that is not Washed Out's MO these days, and that genre is pretty much long dead. But still, having said that, I did love how huge and euphoric this new track was when I first put it on, but it sort of loses flavor very quickly, very, very quickly, as the super pillowy production and the very bland synthetic textures only take it so far, as they're not that surreal, not that sonically creative or interesting or unique. Just ends up being a very, very, very so-so, very flavorless sound. Moving on from there, 21 Pilots, Level of Concern. Not a bad new single from the duo, goes in a bit of a disco direction. Not the best song I think they've ever written, but I guess it is pretty cool that from a lyrical angle they decide to go in a direction that is obviously inspired by the quarantine that many of us are under right now. So some quarantine pop from the duo with a disco tinge. It's okay. It's okay. Certainly, it's intriguing to see them staying creative, though it's not necessarily going toe to toe with anything off of the last record, Trench. So, moving on from there, we have a new track from Tory Lanez, who got to give a shout out to Tory Lanez here, because he has absolutely been killing it on Instagram with those live streams. People have been going nuts on those fucking streams, and they have been getting a lot of people through this quarantine. It has been super important in keeping spirits high during this whole quarantine thing. So a shout out to him for that. Unfortunately, this new single, Stupid Again, is just okay. I mean, it's a pretty epic beat, but I feel like the production really kind of carries Tory quite a bit, which has been the case for a lot of his tracks for a long time. But, at least this one is a bit grander in scope. So I don't know. Give it a try. Give it a shot. Not quite as I guess lacking in personality or as sing-songy as some of his other stuff. So I don't know. We also have a new track from Rico Nasty, Popstar, which I thought was just all right. One of her more auto-tuned tracks with a really repetitive and somewhat obnoxious chorus. Some likable qualities about it, and it is sort of aggressive and in your face and nasty, like a Rico Nasty track should be. But was it nasty enough? Could have been nastier. We also have a new track from Mr. Oliver Tree, who decided to drop this song and music video, I guess in response or in the wake of the cancellation of his tour and the pushback of his new album. The name of this new cut over here is Let Me Down. And while I do think the music video is pretty fun, the song itself is super basic. Lyrically, Oliver really isn't saying much of anything, which is something that as I hear more and more songs from Oliver is beginning to grate on me, that he just doesn't really get down to anything like substantive or specific in any of his songs. He just sort of seems to write from this very vague place of, don't let me down, it's the same old shit. And it's like, what's the same old shit? What is the shit? What is happening? What is going on? What is inspiring this? I don't know. Like, the feelings and the ideas are presented in such a vague, nondescript way that it just seems like you're writing from a place of emotional manipulation. Like there's nothing actually fueling any of this. It's just like this weird idea of like, I'm just going to present myself as being fed up or unhappy with something, but nobody really knows what that something is. And I'm just hoping the audience will project those feelings that they may be having onto this song for whatever reason. But still, having said that, it's not like the structure or the production or the melody on the track is all that amazing anyway either. I mean, it comes together well. It's mixed coherently, and it's got a good punch on the chorus and all that. It's progressed in a way that I think a song of this genre should be, and it's always interesting to hear Oliver come together with different styles of music in a somewhat seamless way. But I feel like going forward, the writing has to be better. As great and as the music videos and the shtick and the memes and all of that are, the songs, the music has got to step it up just a little bit, I think. We have Ed O'Brien of Radiohead fame come through with another track. This one features Laura Marling, and vocally they tie up very nicely. I was somewhat disappointed with how, the word I'm looking for is common the chord progression was on this track. It sort of seems like I've heard it a bunch of different times on other songs, but still, Cloak of the Night is not a bad one. The vocal sort of chemistry on this track definitely does sell it. We also have a new track from Baths. Mikaela Corridor is the name of it. And I will say I enjoy the music video of this song more than I do the song itself, really. It's a very funny meditation on sort of like hype beast fashion, and it's almost like joining a cult in the music video anyway, and it's pretty funny in that sense. The track itself is a bit of a departure from the very surreal and wavy beat music and pop that Baths has been built on years and years and years ago when it initially broke as a project. But I don't know. I feel like nothing as exciting has really replaced that style and that sound on this new single. But I don't know. I'm hoping for more material down the road that's a bit more intriguing, and undoubtedly Baths is still a pretty creative project that is worth keeping your eyes and ears on. We also have a new track from Avey, Tare, which is a little tedious, but still, I suppose, a little trippy and meditative and very low-key, and I suppose a little rustic in a sense as well. The name of this track is Wake My Door. It's a lengthy one, too, so, if you're a big Avey Tare solo fan, or, just looking for some more stuff that's in an Animal Collective type vibe, but more stripped back and more simple, give it a try. Give it a shot. And let's get into the tracks that I thought were the best this week, the ones that really grabbed my attention, wowed me a little bit. Here we go. Strokes, Brooklyn Bridge to Chorus. Liked this one quite a bit. Not going to talk too much about it. Sorry, because I am going to review the new Strokes album this week, and I don't want to give too much away. Don't want to lay down too many thoughts, but I did think this was another good teaser to the album, so thoughts on the record very soon. We also have a new track from RMR, or Rumor. I think that's the way that this may be said. Coming through, past that Rascal track, that country trap ballad, with a song that's more in a straightforward R&B vein. Dealer. So it's not as unique in style and tone and combination of influences, but what did grab my attention on this track is not only is the song pretty good, but he's really singing his ass off on this song. Given how nasally the vocals were on Rascal, I didn't know how good of a singer he actually was, but singing on this track, his vocals were actually really good. I was actually getting some old school R. Kelly vibes, and not to praise R. Kelly too much because of who he is and what he is and the crimes he's committed. But back in the day, he was a great vocalist. And RMR was certainly, or rather Rumor again, was certainly giving me those vibes in terms of that level of vocal quality and personality and dynamics. So give this track a try. Give it a shot. The vocals really did surprise me. While I would love to hear more tracks sort of in that Rascal vein, this was really good. This was very good. We also have a new track from indie darling, singer-songwriter extraordinaire Phoebe Bridgers, Kyoto. And it's a very nicely arranged bit of singer-songwriter music, impassioned vocals as well. Certainly hit me harder than a lot of stuff off of her debut, which so many people seem to be enamored with. Definitely got me looking forward to what she has coming down the pipe in 2020. So I will leave it at that. Excuse me. Obnoxious Youth is a group that I am now just finding out about. Mouths Sewn Shut is the name of this track that I want to point in your direction, and it's got some elements of noise and grindcore, but also some amazing guitar work as well, like really some awesome soloing and shredding, which is really clean and almost pretty in a way, and flashy. It's very rare that you hear these combos of sounds. I feel like we should have heard that like a million times by now, but I love the roughness, the abrasiveness of this, but simultaneously like how impressive some of the musicianship is, especially since, those leads and those melodies coming out of the guitar does make the mayhem just like a little bit sweeter, and does make it a bit more memorable. Not just like a blitzkrieg of noise, hitting your ears that's sort of indiscernible. It's actually got a strong flavor to it. So liking this one quite a bit. We also have this track from Masterpiece Machine that I am now just hearing about. And keep in mind, this is the first track I'm hearing from this project, Rotting Fruit. I'm looking forward to hearing more, but this was like a really weird combination of heavy neo psych with like an alt rock or maybe even like an alt metal edge. Very odd combination of sounds, but I liked it quite a bit. There were some clean vocals on the song that I don't know if I was too crazy about, but everything else about the song was really wowing me to the point where I may be sort of won over by those after a few more listens anyway, but still. This is really fun. This is a really fun track, and it will be trying to keep my ear to the ground for more material from this project to see if there's anything else from it that I'm digging. So we also have Aries, a new song from the new single video multimedia series from Gorillaz, Song Machine. Right now, I think Gorillaz are 3 for 3 on this series. The song features Georgia and Peter Hook. It's pretty much in a New Order vein. I give a lot more thoughts on this on a review over on the Fantano channel. And I just think it's a really good track. I think it's a lovely track, even if maybe a lot of my enjoyment of it is due to a big New Order bias and just wanting to hear more like that. But I guess if you're going to do that sort of thing, you might as well have Peter Hook on the goddamn song. Moving on from there, we have a new track from Charli XCX, Forever. Really abrasive production on this one. But Charli's super sweet hook and vocal line on that hook does make it go down pretty nicely, pretty easy. I'm really looking forward to this new record she has coming out in May, and I think it's really admirable of her to strike while the iron is hot and give us something really awesome to listen to in the midst of this insane pandemic shit. So hell yes, Charli XCX, loving this new single. We also have a new track from Black Dresses, which is almost like a weird rock-oriented cut. Seems a little grungy in a way, and very sad, very dejected, like the vocals on it, like how heavy and just dark and bleak the instrumental is too. And Black Dresses is something I've been keeping my eyes on for a little bit since some of their Bandcamp stuff kind of popped off for me. So digging this. Looking forward to maybe hearing more stuff like this down the pipe, though I know that Black Dresses is very much a project that is kind of in flux in a way, stylistically. Who knows what the hell they're going to come up with next. So I don't know. I'm liking what I'm hearing here. Let's see if we like more stuff coming out in the future. We have a new track from Baauer as well, electronic music producer, known for Harlem Shake and all that, of course, but still coming through with a banger of a different stripe and flavor. Almost like some rock-oriented riffage going on during some points of the song. It hits pretty hard. Reminds me of like some old breakbeat shit that was super aggressive back in the day. But without, doing any big breakbeats or, doing anything too dated or like, nostalgic or anything like that. Just kind of reminded me of some really aggressive electronic music from the 90s, but modernized in a way. I'm liking it quite a bit. We have a new remix over here of All Mirrors, Johnny Jewel, doing this Angel Olsen track over here, and I thought it was a pretty cool revision of the instrumental and all that, so give that a try. And Antichrist Demon Core, very much looking forward to this album coming around the pipe. Some really awesome grind and power violence here. Hellish, and muscular, bestial. is the last thing I'll say about it. The new track over here that I want to point in your direction is Copsucker. And of course, 100 gecs comes through with a fantastic remix of Gek to You featuring none other than Dorian Electra. Awesome crossover. Amazing crossover. Exactly what you want. Exactly what you need to hear. Love that gecs continue to be creative, and love hearing the king, my liege, Dorian Electra, come through and totally kill it on the vocal, on the revision, the remix of this very great high quality track from the 1000 gecs record. And that is it. That is going to be it for this video. Hopefully you guys got some good recommendations out of this. That has been the weekly track roundup. Once more, all of it is linked down below if you want to check any of it out for yourself. I will see you guys in the next video. Anthony Fantano, weekly track roundup forever.